Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you had a swell time. I thought I would finally come out and open up about where I'm actually going currently, what's going on in university and things like that, because obviously I'm in my uni accommodation right now. So all I'm going to say is a huge thank you to the friends that have been there for me this year and really supported me through some of the toughest times I've ever been through. It's not easy being in a relationship, specifically when you're on your third year of university. There's a lot of promises, a lot of things that you might do that will push you a little bit out of your own space and reality. And today I actually thought I would talk about relationships a little bit more seriously, because I think that women don't tend to struggle as much with this where men do, and I feel like this is something we kind of have to explain and talk about. A lot of these are hard truths. I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear these things. I'm hoping some of you will, because I think it needs to be said. So, there's an article online, which I'll dig it up and put it in the description or whatever, but there's obviously a lot of talk about there's a mental health epidemic within women right now. And this can go from a variety of things like ADHD, which I actually have, and various other problems which are becoming detrimental to themselves because it's causing self-destructive behaviour, it's causing more self-harming, it's causing more suicidal women, it's causing more emotionally active women, which in all fairness is pretty difficult to put up with because women are very emotional as it is. And them being emotional beings and then having other issues like ADHD, which includes like racing thoughts and impulsivity and stuff like that, it's got to be difficult for a woman who is emotionally generally unstable anyway because of all the stuff that she has to put up with just being a woman. But when it comes down to a man, the problem is putting too much emotion into a man, which is what society is currently doing. It is causing a danger to society. The more emotional men that you have, the more rapists you'll have, the more school shooters you'll have, murderers, psychopaths, sociopaths. You turn men, which ultimately aren't really that much of an emotional being, into somebody that is. It's gonna cause side effects, the same way that if you're throwing more emotion and teaching women to be masculine and not be feminine, they can become violent, aggressive, nasty, competitive, and actually cause more problems in their relationships and in their lives than if they were just being feminine and just being themselves. And the only problem is because women are becoming more masculine, they're becoming less agreeable, they're becoming a lot more nasty, they're becoming more violent towards men, and it's causing more domestic abuse cases from women to men. It's not always domestic violence necessarily that's the problem, because of course we know that there is a majority more men hitting women than there is women hitting men, but then there's also the debate of, well, men are less likely to come out and talk about it because there's statistics that prove more women go to therapy or go to the doctors when they have a problem, where men are less likely to do that. So there's obviously statistics and all that shit are going to be like counteracting, contradicting arguments and all these different things, and it's very difficult to come to one little conclusion because there isn't one. There is never a conclusion to anything like this. It is detrimental to everybody's fucking mental health because you have society telling you one thing and your heart telling you another. You ain't going to listen to your heart. You're going to listen to what so-and-so said on TikTok or what so-and-so said on Instagram. And before you know it, you start to become mentally ill and you start trying to follow a path which ultimately, instinctively and biologically, you're not supposed to be going down. And I see a huge problem. I see that there is actually things going on in a lot of my friends' heads that I'm seeing that are making them potentially dangerous to themselves and to others. And that's where the level of concern comes in, because it is genuinely worrying. I think, at least for me anyway, and I'm going to start exposing myself here, I'm going to start opening up a little bit about problems I've dealt with. I've been in relationships previously that have quite literally turned me from a normal, actively working guy to somebody who is overly emotional and actually quite scary to be in the mind of. Like, when I look back at some of the things I used to say, it's horrendous. When I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, I was thinking about leaving college. I was going on about killing myself. I was fucking going for a porn addiction at that time, some kind of love addiction. And before I knew it, I was going on to rebound relationships. I was suddenly with this girl at work, then I was suddenly without her and with a new girl, and then I met someone online and I was with them, and it kept going on for a good year until 2021, like the end of 2020 and the start of 2021. I kind of got it in my head that I need time to heal. I need to stop doing this because I'm just basically trying to actively find someone to replace ultimately what is me. I need to love myself. I need to learn what I'm truly all about and what I can potentially do for the future. Because the matter of the fact is, and this isn't always the same with women, like if you have your mind set on something, you're gonna think about it a lot more. Like if you get with somebody and you really love them and they tell you things like, I'm gonna marry you, we're gonna have kids, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, you start as a man setting up a future for you two. You think about what you could do financially, you think about what you're gonna do to make yourselves happy. And sometimes, if that relationship is rather toxic, they'll make you do things where you obsess quite often over things that don't really need to be obsessed over, or you'll try to explain your point of view on something and you are told that you are essentially wrong and that you don't listen. This is something I've often put up with for probably nearly 10 plus years of dating, and I know I'm only 22, but it's something I've put up with very often, and I hear it a lot. And it's always that as a man, like, you're physically not able to tell a woman anymore what they need to hear. They want to hear what they want to hear, which is, you're right, it's fine, yeah, whatever. But then the moment you do that, suddenly you're in a mood with them then and whatever else. And dating has become a mess because people are saying things without context. People aren't communicating properly. People aren't exposing themselves to what they have. Like, you could meet someone and they might say something like, there's things about me you won't like in the future. And you'd say, why is that? She's a lovely person, or he's a lovely person, and I don't know what they're on about. And then so many months later, 6, 12 months into the relationship, you might suddenly find out that they've got an underlying condition that's gonna, they might die in like the next day or two. Or you might find out, I don't know, they've got a penis or something that, potentially you didn't want in a relationship, right? They might tell you they've got some serious mental health condition, which is probably why they've been throwing outbursts at you or upsetting you or blaming things on you when it's clearly them in the wrong. There's not very much you can really do about it. Every single relationship I've been in, I'm going to be completely honest with you, I feel there are things I've done wrong, things I can improve on, and things that I don't want to drag into the next relationship and the next relationship after that. But I always tend to find myself in a situation where I end up getting with a girl who simply has mental health, and I'm completely unaware of it half the time. But one thing that really upsets me is there is only so far you can go before you get shut out, and you should be focusing on yourself. Ultimately and primarily, especially if you're in university like me on my 3rd year, you should be focusing on your work, focusing on making YouTube videos and other stuff if that's what you do, and drop it. Because ultimately you're going to be getting nowhere by sitting there grieving over stuff, acting like some kind of loser, not thinking about your future, what makes you happy. Now, as a man and as a normal woman too, I'm assuming you're probably wanting or craving a relationship that when you get older you can both support each other financially, you can both get a house together, and there's things that you agree on. And one thing I've always said is opposites attract. And sometimes those opposites are so opposite, you literally have nothing in common. I know so many relationships that are like that are still extremely healthy and happy, literally just because they communicate. They don't like necessarily the same fucking music. They don't like going to clubs or the same places as each other. They might not like certain hobbies or different things. There's nothing wrong with that, because you both do what each other likes when you have the time to do it, and you learn new things. I mean, I've often gone out with girls that, obviously I've gone out with them or we've done something they like, and I've gone, this isn't for me. But a lot of the time I've gone, you know what, I might not have really liked it that much, but it was an experience, and yeah, I'd do it again if you wanted to, kind of thing. And that's what goes through my head. Like, I'm not here to really impress anyone, but if I enjoy something, I'll do it again. And that's the whole thing. It's not, you don't have to love everything that you both love, or suddenly when you realise that you've been so long in the relationship and all of a sudden there's nothing left now. No, what it is you don't want the commitment. If you don't want to commit to your partner, and you don't want to be honest with your partner, and you don't want to look after them, and they're trying everything, pouring their heart out to you, whatever they need to do, if you are backing away from your partner who is quite literally giving you everything, you are making the biggest mistake. Sometimes, and I will have to agree, that you need a break, whether that be 2-3 days, whether that be a week sometimes. I think when you've kind of set up in your head, you've got this exclusivity, you've got this power, you've got this love that no one else can ever see. Unfortunately, it's just life. I mean, I've been told things like that love makes you weak, a relationship makes you weak, emotions are weak. I've been told all sorts of things that quite literally generally isn't nice. It's not nice to listen to, especially when you are quite an emotional person. You don't need to be a dickhead as a man to show emotions. You can still be emotional, but without getting over emotional. And sometimes it's as simple as, if the woman isn't messaging you, don't talk to her. And you know why you shouldn't talk to her? Because she's the one who's putting you aside. Why should you be chasing someone that simply isn't thinking about you or even caring about you right now? Their mental health is so important to them that they're willing to throw you away when you're willing to be there to support them. I mean, it goes to show just how little they care about your mental health. Are they asking you whether you're okay? No. Are they checking up on you? No. Are they wishing you Happy New Year or Merry Christmas or whatever? No. And all this bullshit as well. Like, you often see this where a lot of people say you have to be friends first to get into a relationship, and that's how you know you'll love them. No, you don't. I know so many people, in fact, I can say this from personal experience. I knew someone for nearly 3-4 years before I got with them. When I got with them, suddenly they'd gone from one of the nicest people I'd ever met into an asshole. And do you know why that happened? Because people in a relationship are very different to what they are like when they are friends with you. And that's the catch. Sometimes you might actually find out, oh, they've been friends with me for years, I'd really love to go out with her now. And then you do, and then you find out she's a very obsessive, very possessive, very nasty, very controlling, manipulative person. It doesn't matter how long you know someone, or how little you've been with someone, or how, you know, how long you've known them and all this stuff. It doesn't matter. It simply doesn't matter. What matters is whether it works out or not. Some people are just completely incompatible, which is why when women tend to put you in this like no contact phase, or they put you in this friend zone idea, it's because they're keeping their options open. Not to, you know, keep you on the side and go, I still love you, I want to be with you. No, they're keeping their options open because they might have met someone at work. They might have met some new friends down at the pub or a nightclub or something. And now they've decided, oh, well, this guy's quite nice. I'm going to fuck with him for a little while. And then if it doesn't work out, you know, I've always got him on the side. No. That's not how it works. You either are together or you aren't. Especially when, if you guys are like me specifically, I never pursue women. I never have. I rarely ever have pursued a woman in my entire life. They usually always beeline and come after me. And that's fair enough. I rarely have the confidence to talk to a woman about any relationship issues or advice or whatever unless I really know them. Or if I romantically was into them and wanted to get with them. I don't become friends with people who I don't see as a friend. And it's as simple as that. I mean, some of them can't get that in their mind. They might think you were friends at the start and stuff, but if you wasn't, it's never going to work. And one thing you'll realise is you can't be friends with an ex. You physically cannot. Unless it's for really bad mental health issues and you're both suffering and you're both going through a lot of shit and you really don't want to put each other on that shit and you break up. Right, or you put each other on hold, but you're not pursuing anyone else, or you're not going out and fucking anyone else. That's cool. That sometimes works, but when you're at this age and you're considering settling down with someone and you're considering moving forward in life with someone, and you know, it might just be, well, I've got a holiday partner now. Oh, well, I've got someone I can go meet. It's a nice little holiday down, especially say you are long distance or something. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of people, what they don't realise is texting. Texting is dreadful. It's an awful thing to do. And miscommunications and problems always crops up when you constantly are texting somebody. And let's say, for some whatever reason, they've got some issues that involves them, I don't know, being like dyslexic, for example, where they start to misunderstand things even more. And then say they've got ADHD or Asperger's or autism or Tourette's or whatever the fuck they might have, or borderline personality disorder or any of these issues. So now they're reading it while dyslexic and they've got these other issues, and then they're reading it, misinterpreting it, firing it back off at you. That's a fucking problem. And then sometimes even when you're calling them, you then have the mental health aspect still taking what you're saying out of context and making you look bad and blaming you for their own behaviour, which is just fucked up. You might not be able to get anywhere in life with it unless you can sit down with your partner, especially if they have issues, and talk about them. A lot of the time it might just be that you only ever call or talk if you play a game together. That's it. We don't do anything otherwise. We don't just randomly FaceTime every day. We don't randomly call every day, and we don't keep texting. Why is it that women seem to think, no, I just want to text? Okay, well, you just want to text while having an argument with me. So now everything's going to get misinterpreted. It's fucking stupid. It is. It doesn't matter how you see it. I don't care how sane you are, how mentally ill you are. Texting, especially about problems, is a really bad idea. A really bad idea. But sometimes you'll do it just to impress them, because they say to you, well, I only like texting because it takes too much energy to talk. Or, well, maybe it's best that you don't text anymore and that you don't call anymore, and the only time that you do is if you're playing a game together, watching a movie together, or meeting up in real life. Society's fucked. It's constantly on the collapse. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time. Love is becoming a problem. We've got serious conditions like love addiction. We've got serious conditions like porn addiction. And this is only getting worse because there are kids from age 8 to 11 watching it or being introduced to it or finding out about it. And then they're growing up with it. And then they're thinking that it's okay to do that to women, or women think it's okay to do that to men. And it's becoming a fucked up scenario. And I always hear about this. It's fucked. It quite simply is, we are the lost generation. Like the end, pretty much, of humanity in itself. Because we got people currently like Andrew Tate getting locked up. Kanye West is getting fucked off. Anyone that's speaking out or doing anything that's supposedly being misogynistic or whatever. No, if it's supporting men and supporting traditional ways, apparently you're toxic. It's toxic masculinity. You are quite literally killing the definition of a man and a woman and causing competitiveness, violence and emotionalness, which shouldn't be within the genders that we know of. I didn't mean to say that, to be honest. I know this just became a little bit of a rant video, but I'm actually hoping a lot of you can take something away from this, especially if you get into a relationship, or I don't know, maybe you're going through a really tough time with your wife currently. You just need to wait. Simply, plain and simple. If you're struggling with your partner right now and they truly love you and they truly care about you and they truly want you and they truly saw something and they really do want to marry you, they really do want kids with you and all this shit, they're going to come back. They just simply will. And you've just unfortunately got to wait for that timing. Maybe it'll never happen. Maybe the only reason they have walked away currently is to get used to a life without you. Because when they get used to a life without you, they're like, ah, you know what, actually I didn't need him anyway, so I'll just get rid of him now. You know, you will get these kind of things happen. That's fine. You just got to be prepared. Like, quite literally, I always say this. When something bad is about to happen in your life, whether you're about to get fired from a job, you're about to get dumped, or you're about to have to walk away from a situation that's becoming detrimental to your mental health and your work ethic and everything else, like, put the fucking seatbelt on, get buckled, mentally prepare yourself, keep saying, I'm ready, get ready for it. Because at the end of the day, if you have been trying to sort out your relationship problems with somebody for a while now and they're refusing in any way to comply with you or figure out a way of helping each other, or they're simply ignoring your affection, your love, your care, your ability to want to love them, what's the point? Because all you're going to find out is you're going to get burnt for being a nice guy. They don't want a nice guy. They want someone they could just talk to on the occasion and have a good time with and stuff. They don't actually want someone who's affectionate and buys them gifts and does well for them, because what's the point? I'm obviously a very motivated guy, but my girl motivates me too. And I would like to think that for whatever reason, if anything was to go wrong with us, I still have plenty of motivation in myself for me to be able to move on, carry on with my work, do well, come out, smash my uni degree, go get a lovely part-time job while I'm focusing on YouTube and other stuff, and just start making passive income from loads of different places and just enjoy my life. And hopefully bring you guys along with me too, because at the end of the day, things are either going to work out or they won't. Sometimes toxicity is so bad from one side, you will never, ever, 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 ever truly know or ever truly get an apology for what someone else has done. That's not your fault. Just remember that. But it's also, and I advise you do this, if you have problems knowingly, like borderline personality disorder, ADHD, autism, ODD, ADD, any of these fucking things, actually think about what you're capable of doing. Whether that's putting your blame onto others or ruining your partner's life or anything like that, think about it. Because there are two faults in every relationship. Sometimes it's that your partner will never tell you what's wrong, and then you'll become irritated and upset because of that fact. Sometimes your partner will never tell you what's truly wrong with them conditionally in their brain, so you'll never know how to deal with the situation, which makes you irritated. They might do things that if you did, they would be angry, but because they did it, it's okay. There's so many different things and different problems that arises and will crop up in relationships, and the only way you'll be able to tell whether a person is truly sane is they will get through the obstacles with you, and they will help you, and you will get through it, and you'll have the best marriage and the best partnership you'll ever have in your entire life. If it doesn't work out, I'm sorry. I'm only giving you advice. Doesn't mean it'll work, doesn't mean it's going to be helpful. You can keep asking for context, you can keep asking for communication, and you may unfortunately never get it. And it might just mean that you'll have to become a very casual relationship and take away all seriousness. It's sad, but it might be the only way it'll work until either of you are ready for a real relationship. That doesn't mean you have to go back to being friends, it just means that you have to fucking take it easy. And that's all I'm saying. That might not be what you want, and if that's not what you want and need, walk away. It's not your problem. Their mental health is not your problem. You can support them and you can look after them, but the moment they start blaming you for stuff that's going on in their lives and they start trying to bring you down and ruin your life when you're going through some incredibly amazing stuff in your life, you don't need that. I'm just telling you as it is, you really don't need it. So thank you guys for watching. I really hope you have an amazing new year, and moving forward we all do very good. Peace.